We've heard a lot of different things from both sides about auditing. I would just like to hear how you envision the auditing process working, starting with the 40% plan.
So I think one of the problems in this debate, or in this conversation with campus, is we've had very different definitions of auditing. Their definition of auditing is, you spent this exactly the way the 14 people on SOFC told you to spend it. Our version of auditing is, you did not spend this money on things that you're not allowed to spend money on, right? Things like alcohol and strippers, right? Which we don't want groups to spend money on. And we absolutely want to codify guidelines. So that under the current system, right, where every group's got to turn in receipts, or if they use a P card, the transaction's there anyway, we don't envision that changing at all. We think groups are still going to have to turn in receipts. We think groups are still going to have to be held accountable to the laws of Duke University. They're still going to be held accountable to the financial rules that Duke puts in place for these groups. And we don't see that changing. We think that if a group, has been allocated $500 generally in the student allocation process, which, keep in mind, is not necessarily event related, so it's not like, students are saying, oh, I'm going to give $20 because of this line item. They're giving money to a group they care about. So if they don't spend all that money on, let's say, their airfare as an example that likes to be brought up, well then what are they going to do with the rest of that money? They're going to spend it on other valuable things that they're also allowed to spend it on, and also helps those members, right? Then that money's going to be allocated to another good thing that group does. If the group doesn't spend it, well, I mean, we basically don't envision any kind of change to that auditing procedure. The only difference is that SOFC is not going to be able to dictate that you spend $15.70 here and $16 here and basically get that incredible level of minute detail.
So either the 40% plan will require that groups make line itemized budgets almost a year in advance and basically plan for events a year in advance, in which case it would make auditing very difficult. So let's take the scenario in which a group has a speaker come to campus and they estimate that the flight costs $500. So when they actually purchase that flight, maybe 7 months later, let's say it only costs $300. SOFC under the current system would be able to take that $200 back and then reallocate that money towards some other event that would benefit the student body. Under the 40% plan, that would not be possible. The second scenario is in which there isn't line itemized budgets and it's just a blanket statement where, oh, this group we need $50,000 to run for the school year. In that case, there's absolutely no oversight whatsoever. It would be impossible for SOFC to do auditing as it does now because there are no line itemized budgets for that $50,000. Furthermore, there's an incentive for groups to then just hoard money at the end of the school year. There's no repercussions for a group who gets $50,000 from the 40% plan to actually use that $50,000. In fact, there are probably many groups who would maybe only use $5,000 and then keep $45,000 just for a rainy day someday. That's not an efficient use of student funding, especially when $700,000, the budget is meant to be used for annual budget and programming for one academic school year, not be hoarded by these groups who are able to mobilize their membership.
And spending money based on SOC guidelines isn't just spending money on things that are illegal or not illegal. It's spending on things that aren't just involving your internal members. So paying for like a scholarship or paying for a flight for your internal member. With SOC funding as it exists, we try and pay for things that are open and available to the whole student body. And that's not something you can audit or you can check for under the system, because that's not the kind of things that are codified so well that we really could be checking for. It's just illegal or not, and honestly, I don't think that's something we're really talking about in this debate.